There was a lot of soul searching and personal growth through work. I always kind of ended up in things that looked difficult for me. And I was feeling that through that, I would really grow. Very curious about people and situations. So that was a way to kind of, become a different human a little bit. My name is Karine Rougé. I graduated from HEC in 2004, and I'm currently the CEO of the Municipal Water business for Veolia in North America. What that means in practice is I lead 5,000 people. We serve 20 million Americans doing water and wastewater services across the US. There's a very wrong conception of the US. Everything is shiny and tech, and it's a place of Google and Amazon and all of that. Well, in terms of water and infrastructure in general, it's absolutely not the case. Overall, this is an old infrastructure with a low level of sophistication and battered by climate change, especially extreme weather events. I see this with very different stakes. If you're a community leader, you want, for example, to attract the big gigafactory of chip manufacturing that is relocalizing to the US from China or Taiwan. In order to do that, you need to be able to secure water resources and to commit to say in the next 20 years, I'm going to have enough water resource for the plant, but also for the community of the people who are going to work in that plant. So it becomes a real political topic. It's now tied to reindustrialization, to things like environmental justice as well, because the worst issues are in the places which are the most black and the poorest, so there's a real correlation between that. So suddenly we're having this kind of low-level technical thing, that's for the utility worker, that becomes this high-level political agenda, and that requires a very different positioning. So for us, it requires to show up in a different way, to be able to think holistically. And it's a pretty exciting thing because you're going from the utility work to how do we really help these communities survive in the next kind of 20 years, impacted by climate change, etc. First, I think the water question has raised up to a totally different level in the past kind of 10 years, meaning central to economic development, social justice, and geopolitical events. There's a quality issue all over with level of pollution, which is escalating even in developed countries. And then there's the question of availability, which is compounded by the question of quality. Because when you have highly polluted water, then it's not necessarily as available as you could, because maybe the treatment costs are totally prohibitive. The technical solutions exist everywhere. So this is not a question of finding a miracle technology that will help solve that. What's difficult is that there's an issue of governance everywhere. It's a highly hyper-local topic. And more, the hyper-local has to decide on things that are connecting several communities together. Meaning that maybe a city is dependent on a water supply that is going to be co-owned by other cities around it or other things. And that poses real policy issues that are very tough to deal with at the local level. Absolutely. For me, South Africa was a life-changing moment. It shattered my preconception of what a society needed to be. I had no place judging. So I had a place in absorbing, trying to understand, listening, trying to see what was common, even in the people who appeared, the most different from me. And I think when you take that to work, that posture of really trying to listen and understand, it's also true when people are, in appearance, very similar than you. So that kind of step of, I'm just stepping back and I'm really trying to listen and understand and building up my empathy. I feel overall that's kind of making you a better human, but that's also making you a better professional and all of that.